Are you struggling with imposter syndrome? Are you struggling with confidence? Do you feel confidence? How can you feel confidence? Well, today I have no other than Claudia Conti, a specialist on confidence and coaching and leadership. And we're going to be talking about all those beautiful things that we as a human beings experiment throughout the whole entire life, especially as entrepreneurs. Claudia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Omar, thank you so much for the opportunity and for having me today as a guest. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I'm excited to talk about this topic. It's dear to my heart, and I'm very, very excited. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. I really, it's really interesting that we've been knowing each other from the school, and now we're here. And ever since we started catching up, we always connect in a very unique way. And I just gotta say, it's really beautiful to have you here because you talk about one of my topics. My beautiful topics for me is leadership. However, I really find it very interesting how you're able to mix it up with confidence because it's true. In order for you to be a really great leader, you had to have confidence. Without it, you kind of go in a different direction. But I want to speak a little bit of more of how do you define confidence?
I love that. And thank you for having me today to talk about this topic. It's a topic that I'm very passionate about because I believe that confidence is this engine, this motivation, this inspiration that keeps us going. Us meaning each and every one of us in a very unique way, because it's if you ask me what confidence is, it's that belief in yourself. It's it's a complex, for me it's a complex how do I say it? A complex concept because it is based on a lot of different pillars. It comes from not only my self-belief, but it's also coming from my self-trust. It comes with, from my self-esteem, self-respect, self-love. So when you ask me, what is confidence for you? For me, is having a balance between all these pillars that make what confidence is for me and allow me to, keep building upon that muscle that we build on a regular basis. This is a lifelong progression. It's not like you get there, like you have confidence and you got it, you made it. It's not like that, it fluctuates, it goes up and down. It depends on the different situations, the different spaces that you're in. So it's a constant work that you have to put in order to work this muscle. And I love a quote, and I don't think I will be able to say it correctly, but I will try. It's from Charles Cooley, and if you've seen me, I mention it all the time, and it's basically talking about the perception of the perception. It's, I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. And I always like to take a deep breath after that and let it sink in, because it's a powerful, powerful quote that reminds me, or reminds us of that we live in the perception of a perception, And for me, once I hear that quote, it reminds me of the importance of working in our confidence, because we live in a perception of what I think you think I am. So imagine how important it is to feel good from within to be able to navigate this world of perception. I don't know if that answers the question. I think I went deep into that.
No, absolutely. I really appreciate the fact that you're going deep because that's what I want. I love the fact that you mentioned that it has several pillars, because we usually think that confidence is just one thing. Oh, I need confidence. I got to do this and that's it. However, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on every person is different. And you have to find what are the things you mentioned. You having your own perception. Your perception, are you afraid from others? How other people perceive you? You mentioned, are you giving love to yourself? We usually really good giving love to other people, right? I always say people, leadership is that person that is willing to sacrifice himself for the well-being of others. That doesn't mean that person it has to just like sacrifice. They had to take care of themselves so they can take care of others too. That's how it usually works. And I love the fact you mentioned Cooley, because interesting enough is that I wrote a poem from him, and that's how it starts. One of my poems I wrote exactly what you just said. And it's true, we always live in a perception of the perception of someone else's perception. And we always got to go back to what does it mean for me? For you, it means all those pillars, which you mentioned it, that are very important for you. Based on all the work with the people you're working with, people that you've been able to help and support, when it comes down to imposter syndrome, what is it that people, when they get into that particular topic, what is it that they really struggle with at the end of the day when you start peeling the onion in this case? Let's put it like peeling the onion, start peeling the little parts. What is it that people usually start struggling based on all the studies and obviously all the people you've been working with?
That's a great topic. Imposter syndrome is so real. And the good news is that we all suffer from it at some point. The important part is to understand how deep is it affecting us to find the help that we need. But I think it's a generalization that I'm comfortable saying, because at any given time, even at the top of like in the corporate world, at the top of the leadership, or whoever, an entrepreneur, a professional, at some point we feel like, are we a fraud in do we deserve what we accomplish? Did we get lucky? Like you have to, you start having these narratives, and that is what spirals into imposter syndrome and to double guessing and self-doubting. And it can be very, very intense for some people. So I think that what happens is when you start peeling those layers, it's getting down to what is it exactly that is coming up, emerging for that person. Because it could be different things for different people. And and like you just said, we live in a perception of a perception. We are all filtering our own reality. We all have our own map of the world. So it's important to understand for that person, what does it mean? Where is it coming from? And getting to that root so we can start working on what is exactly that person needs to, the support or the help to get where they want to be. And like I said, it's a complex topic and concept, because it has so many different layers. So it might be self-esteem, it might be self-love, it might be self-compassion. They're all part of building that confidence and that ability to be able to get where you want to be. So I would say that it depends on the person, it depends on the situation, it depends on the stage of life they're at, and many other aspects. But at the end of the day, the important part is to really get into the deeper root, so we can start working toward what they want to.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really think that you explain it beautifully, and it's amazing to me to see the fact that you are able to name different things, like bringing everything to a pillar, because it has many things you had to identify what is it. And me personally, when people ask me, it's like, Omar, do you struggle with imposter syndrome? And I always say, yeah. It's like, how do you overcome it? And I'm like, I don't, it's hard for me to answer in that particular framework, because as a matter of fact, I don't think I want to overcome it, because I'm learning how to navigate it. I'm learning how to navigate my whole entire emotions. I always come back to me, like you mentioned, just always come back to me. I always come back to me, because I know I'm always living in a perception of someone else. I always come back to me, that I really want that? Like, what am I missing? Why this doesn't feel right for me? And based on that, I'm able to articulate and try to work and coach myself, or sometimes ask for somebody else's help and support. I'm like, listen, this is what I see. What do you see? Because that's very important. In this case, people goes to you, and they when you talk to them, they speak to you, and you're able to see something different that sometimes it's not even there, right? So for me, I'm always learning how to navigate, and I would say I love to navigate my emotions. I because they part of me. It's fear. I need fear in case like somebody's I'm into troubles and somebody's like running behind me. I'm scared. I need that particular fear to help me save me from that danger, right? So I don't want to overcome it. Me personally, I want to continue to learn how to navigate and how to explore it. What are the tools for you that you if you can give us a tool for a person that is struggling with imposter syndrome, what would be a tool that for you is key and that you obviously share with your clients? If you can give us one tool, what would that be?
I love the question. There are many ways to overcome it or work on it. I think if I have to choose one or a couple, I would say that the first thing is understanding. Like every step starts with awareness. So becoming aware is the first step. Understanding what exactly imposter syndrome is, how does it present, what are the what do we feel, what is it? So once you start understanding, you can actually say, okay, this is where I'm at, and reframing, having self-compassion, and getting into a community or the help of somebody are crucial. Self-compassion is crucial because we have to be gentle with ourselves, just the way we would want to be with anybody else going through a hard time or a difficult time or a challenging time. Reframing is giving the having a script to replace what's going on, because like we said, we start with awareness. We see all these patterns of, oh, I'm not good enough. Are they going to figure out that I'm not that good? All this is are just stories that we're telling ourselves. So it's important to really assess what is true, get the facts, and try and find those, like the do your mental research, really get into, okay, what is a fact and what is something that I'm feeling at the moment. And when you start challenging and finding evidence is when you start replacing, and that's where the reframing comes. You start replacing, and it's okay, that's not quite there. I'm actually, and you start finding those possibilities, and the opportunities open up for you. It's not so white and black. You start understanding, you're challenging, your thoughts, and you're challenging with that evidence that you're looking to find. And third, I said the community, and finding people that are going through this at the same time that you are, because that shared experience, that shared consciousness, that shared wisdom that comes from connecting to other people going through the same thing is precious. It's really something that is transformative. And of course, finding whatever modality works for you. Is it coaching? Is it therapy? What is it that works for you? But finding the help that you need at the time is also an important aspect. I'm such a passionate person about coaching just because I love the modality. I find it very dynamic. I find it very supportive and very goal oriented and action. Like you take actions, you kind of see, you build that momentum. So I'm very passionate about it, but it can be anything that works for you. So basically find that help that works, and find those people that are, the people that are going through the same thing, and get in touch, connect. You would be surprised of how much you can gain from that exchange.
Yeah, it's thank you so much. I love your answer. Something I want to mention. It's I'm glad that you mentioned that you bring coaching, and coaching is your expertise at the moment. You coming from the corporate world, you coming from marketing, and now you're going into coaching, but you start incorporating both. You start enhancing both and trying to bring this whole entire new framework that you've found and you love so much, and you're trying to bring it to the corporate world. How's that particular journey for you? How has that been? Obviously, you're a leadership and confidence coach, trying to bring into the corporate world there's so much resistance when it comes down to it. But how is that journey been for you?
I like that question. And by the way, to the audience, we don't have a script here. This is a conversation. There's no script. Just FYI. This
Yeah.
is very, very much in the moment, right, Omar? You can. So
Okay.
I'm loving this conversation because it's raw and it's real. Um, I think that there's more awareness on the power of coaching, and as we continue growing and the industry continues growing, I think more and more um, coaches and coaching will be implemented in all, all areas, because at the end of the day, coaching is for everyone. Like if everyone could have a coach, this would be a whole lot different. So I think it's a matter of continue having this conversation. It's a matter of bringing some light into what is possible with the right help and the right people that are passionate about serving others, and what that means, bringing it to every space, not only the corporate world, but shedding some light into any and every space that you can bring your services to. And I think in my case, I come from a place of working with my purpose. This is purposeful work that I do. I bring a lot of passion. I bring a lot of purpose. I love at the core that we're serving others and helping. And I know it's cliche. Many people repeat it, and we seem like we're a broken record, but it's the truth. It's what it is. And the more we share, and the more we express what it could potentially bring to people, I think it will make it more accessible, and people will understand, okay, what is this coaching thing? Because I get a lot of that. What's this coaching thing? And this coaching thing can be very powerful. Really, it can, if the person is open and available and ready to do the work. And it's not going to be easy. Like growth is not linear. It goes up and down. And again, bringing that awareness into every space that I come and I go and I have this kind of conversations, and think is useful, so more people can access coaching. I would love to see more people at different levels in the corporate world and in every space to access coaching. And again, any modality that works for the person. It's not about imposing one in particular. It's about actually helping the person. And I think in the corporate world, there's so much work that can be done. I think there's so much development and growth that can happen when the work is welcome and it's appreciated and everybody is connected and aligned. And I think that more and more is coming. And it's, in my case, it's been a pleasure. I'm such a passionate person about confidence and about working on leadership skills and communication and navigating, the different roles and what it entails, and really connecting with the person I have in front of me, whoever that is, whatever the challenge is. I'm there, and we're a team, and we're going to make it happen. Bottom line, we'll make it happen. No matter what, we're working together and we're moving towards a goal. So that's empowering and that's fulfilling for me.
Nice. I appreciate that, though. No, thank you so much. I really think it's beautiful when you find people like yourself that are passionate about supporting others, about service, about purpose, about passion. Yeah, it might sound cliche, but at the end of the day, it's very important to have purpose and be aligned with the things that you love and you find enjoyable. Just like yourself, myself, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm doing, not just coaching, but I'm doing mentorship and I'm doing personal training and I'm doing a lot of things that I'm really enjoying. I'm doing this podcast, and this podcast has bring a different type of joy that for me, I find it very interested. This has been fascinating comeback for me because I used to podcast, but I used to go live. Now I'm doing it in a different form. but I don't think I ever have this much enjoyment. And the more I do it, the more I connect with people and find people and start connecting with people. I'm like, okay, this is magical. Like I really want to continue to do it, regardless of how much work it's behind the scenes. I don't think a lot of people sees all the work that you had to do in order for you to prepare yourself to show up fully when you start working with others, right? In this particular phase of your life, you went from the marketing, you going into coaching. Interesting enough, you mixing both. As an entrepreneur, you know that it's not simple to open up and going into your own business. How are you able to continue to remain focused on the things that you want to do and achieve and still being confident in all the things and have faith in all the in a way in all the impact that you want to create in the world?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I love it because, first of all, I want to clarify, at some point in my life, I was searching for that purpose, that like higher purpose. And I've come to the realization that, like you said, to bring purpose into what you do is very important. Uh, Doing your work purposefully and with joy, that's such a blessing and such a powerful space to be working from, because it shows, and it will definitely help on the back end of all the work that is necessary to get that going. And in terms of your question about the entrepreneurship and how am I able to keep doing what I'm doing and bringing this vision to what I want to bring to the world, I think consistency is one of my superpowers. I'm very consistent, and I show up. I guess consistency and discipline is showing up even if you don't feel like it. Sometimes, even the most purposeful work, we're humans and we have our days, and even though we're working on something that we love and we're passionate and purposeful and fulfilled and all that, of course we're humans, and some days we don't feel like showing up. But honoring myself and showing up for what I want is what keeps me going. It's a huge motivator for me. That consistency, that discipline, that service-oriented work that I do, that fuels me, to ignites my passion to continue moving forward, and showing up even on days that are not the best. I think there was a huge shift when I started connecting with the growth mindset and what it meant, and really tapping into understanding that there's no rigid aspect of learning or things. It's just a matter of putting yourself there and understanding and having that flexibility to integrate whatever you need to integrate at the moment that you need it. And that has been a shift for me. There's this principle, this belief of excellence in NLP, that is, there's no failure, only feedback. And that's very much connected to the growth mindset. And that really helps me when in entrepreneurship, of course, you're going to test things and they're probably not going to go the way you want them to go. If not, I don't want to give percentages, but I'm trying to say that we're all testing new things and we're putting ourselves out there. And sometimes things don't go our way. But once you shift your perspective and you start looking at, okay, what can I learn out of this? Giving yourself some compassion and, understanding and celebrating the fact that you actually did it. And it's kind of like focusing on other aspects so you can grow the attention and the energy in that. And lastly, I would say that I've also shifted my pattern from in NLP. Also, there's the away from and towards. And now I'm focusing more on what I want and less on what I don't want. So it's a very simple, very, very, I would say very simple and very straightforward pattern, but it can definitely shift how you approach things on a daily basis. When you're focused on what you want and you keep the attention there, and it helps. getting away from the focus on the negatives, if that makes sense. So I think those are the things that have worked for me. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for everyone else, but it's what I tap into every day. And in terms of my confidence, because you ask what I did to, or what do I do? I think the confidence, like I said, when we first started, it's something that you build constantly. And I personally have in my goal, as one of my goals, to keep growing, to keep putting myself out of my comfort zone. And it's uncomfortable. And like you said, the body wants to protect you from that fear,
Yeah.
like that fear is there to protect you. But I challenge that. And it doesn't have to be a major thing, but I choose uh, different challenges or different scenarios where I'm going to put myself out of my comfort zone, so I can actually celebrate myself after I do it, regardless if it's not perfect. Most likely, it will not be perfect. Like this
Yeah.
conversation, it will not be perfect, but it will be true. It will be authentic, and it will come from a place of uh, wanting to do it and actually having done it. And that's the beauty of building your confidence, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, because you did it and you can celebrate it. And then you can, of course, reflect on what went well, what went wrong, what I could have done different, what do I want to do different next time. But you did it. So that's such a
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful way of building your confidence, celebrating your wins.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That was beautiful, though. I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to explain everything. And you touched uh, quite a few things that I want to go back to. It's very clear to me the fact that you have very well defined your core values, and they are obviously the main one. It's you stay true to yourself. You're very disciplined, and you mentioned consistency. And I wanna put a pause in here and say congratulations. I really believe you're doing an amazing job when it comes down to your Instagram.
Mm.
That Instagram, you're doing an amazing job. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of what is going through, you always there. I always say, I'm like, oh, Claudia's putting content every day, regardless. So it doesn't matter, like you say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just put it up there. Eventually, you just continue to do it, and eventually it's gonna click, right? Consistency for you is key, but at the same time, you mentioned that it might not be perfect, and you're able to hear the feedback, right? It's just like, what is the feedback? Always ask yourself, what is the feedback? Well, it didn't work. What's the feedback? So I can, at least I'm aware of it, and then I can pivot. Several times I mentioned to people that I work with, and I said, the goal remains the same. What changes is the strategy. And for me, I'm always keeping an open mind, like you said. You have mentioned a few times, just be open minded to the new experiences. And I think that is the number one thing, that whether you're going to get support from coaching, therapy, psychology, doesn't matter. Always be open. And you have a very well understanding when it comes down, you bring a lot of studies, which I love, because obviously NLP, just like you, I went to NLP, and there's a lot of key elements that me personally, I'm always applying them, and I'm sharing with the people I work with. I'm sharing it with whoever I come across, because they are very important. You know, when it comes down to coaching for me, I always remind myself that every single person has their own map of the world. And you state that at the beginning. Example will be, you stated, well, for me this is what it is. I don't know what it's going to be for everyone else, but for me this is what it is. And I'm like, oh, that's, every single person has their own map of the world. This is beautiful. And it's just fascinating, though. I really appreciate your analogy and everything, your all your insights. And you just want to emphasize, like, you doing a great job when it comes down to consistency. And it's really beautiful to me to hear and to see how everything that you've been showing us, because I'm on the outside, I'm just an observer, showing us, and now it's hearing you speak. I'm like, oh, everything now starts connecting to me in a deeper level. And I just want to say thank you and congratulations. You're doing a beautiful job. And on that note, I want to ask you, when it comes down to start building your business, the more you're trying to start marketing yourself, you know how hard that is, how challenging it is, right? Because it's true. Because we're always trying to see, like, what the people is going to think about me. Like, am I doing this correctly? It's just, right? You always putting yourself up there. When it comes down to putting yourself up there, what has been a key element for you that I'm going to hang out to this, besides just like consistency and, I keep the truth to myself? But what would be another key element for you to say, regardless of whatever, I just got to keep pushing and I got to keep moving, because that's how it's supposed to be, at least for me.
Um, that's a powerful question. Thank you. And again, and first of all, thank you so much. I so appreciate your feedback, and I feel seen, and that's a great feeling. Like I said, I show up every single day, not perfect, but I did a promise to myself that I would do that, and I'm honoring myself in that journey. And what has worked for me, I think, first of all, separating the fact that when we're marketing our practice, we're marketing our services, not ourselves. Even though we are the ones that provide the service, I don't sell myself. I sell the services, the transformation, the guidance, the support, the cheerleading, the accountability. You call it whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm there to. And that's a very important fact for me, again, making that statement to be clear, because it will not affect your worth. Here, your worth is intact. You're worthy and you're whole, resourceful, complete, and beautiful the way you are, regardless of how your business goes. The business will go up and down. Entrepreneurship is challenging at times. It requires a lot of discipline, consistency, a lot of, work behind the scenes that nobody sees. That is there. But for me, it has worked to make sure that distinction. Like I'm building this business. I'm working on my practice, but my worth is something else, something that is connected to a different space. So I like that, because it has helped a lot of the people that I coach, entrepreneurs and coaches too, to make sure that because then it's difficult to sell yourself. It's difficult. It's even more difficult to sell yourself than it is to sell your services. So that's the first thing that I would bring here. And then what has worked for me is, again, that why, going to my why. Every time I have any doubts, or I have, like, we work long hours. We don't have a shift. We're there 24/7. Most of the time, and I mean entrepreneurs, when we are in the phase of growth, of course, we're constantly thinking about things that we want to try, things that we want to test, things that we want to do different. And it requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of work. So I think that's also important. So when I'm having a time where I'm feeling a little bit, I wouldn't say doubtful, but maybe you're not feeling as rested as you want, or you're feeling tired, you start, like the narrative starts becoming a little bit blurry. I always tap into the why. Why am I doing this? Why did I choose to do this? Why is it that I'm so passionate about this? And I have my little folder where I keep all the messages from clients and people that connect with me, and this beautiful things that I receive from beautiful souls that have worked with me and have connected me on some level, not even just clients, and that it's just a reminder. It's not external validation. It's a reminder of the path that I chose. And that for me is such an inspiration, such an internal motivator to keep moving and keep going and keep, like, developing and keep putting the hours and the energy that I put into my practice. So I think that is something that I I would say that works for me. If it works for others, I highly recommend it, to really get into why are you doing what you're doing, and finding that purpose, that North Star that will help you push when you don't have the energy, or or you're not, or you're just not feeling it that day. It happens all the time.
Yeah. Thank you, Claudia. I really appreciate that whole entire answer and the way you planted to us. And I want to take a moment here because you mentioned something very powerful, and especially when it comes down to the marketing. And this is for you that are looking for more specifics. How do I market myself? What do I need to do? Why people is not connecting with me? You mentioned the most powerful tool that me personally I found a long ago when it comes down to personal training when I started applying it. Because people will ask me, how do you do it? Even the owner of the gyms is like, Omar, how are you able to, it's like there's not that many people rejecting when it comes down to signing up for the gym. How do you do it? I'm like, I I just tell them to join. Like I let them know and just sign up. But when he started asking me, he started questioning me, I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, I'm not selling myself. I'm selling the gym. For me, when I made that distinction, I'm like, wait a second. It's true. They're not coming to me because of me. They come because they value the gym. They see something powerful. And you mentioned earlier, show the transformation. You're selling the transformation. If you can share the value of your transformation and you learn how to separate yourself from your services, that connection is going to be very powerful. Separating your brand from yourself. That's something that I work a lot with my clients.
Even though you are the face of your
Yes.
business, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and people will connect to people. So people, and here's something that I want to add to what I was saying. Of course, you are going to connect with people, connect with people. This is a mindset that it works when you're the entrepreneur running all the wearing all the hats. It's helpful to have this mindset to be able to be clear on what you're doing and not get affected from rejection or people saying no, because you will get a lot of no's in the process. So that mindset has helped me not affect um, my worth or my own self in the process, and be able to keep building my confidence, if that makes sense. You're still the brand, you're the face of the brand. People will connect with your energy. Not everybody will connect with you, not everybody will connect with me. That's fine. There has to be an alignment, a connection, an exchange, that chemistry that happens when you're working with somebody. But that distinction, like you said, when it comes down to offering the services, and then somebody saying, no, Omar, I'm not going to go to the gym, I'm not going to buy the membership. You don't feel like, oh my God, I got rejected. They don't, like, oh my God, I'm not worthy. And that's why they're not signing up. All of a sudden it's okay. They might love you, but it's not the right time for them. So you kind of detach, and detachment is very important for me, at least. Detachment
Yeah.
from the outcome has been one of the other principles that I follow. Put
Yeah.
everything in the process, detach from the outcome, everything will happen the way it's supposed to happen.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for adding that. I think it's really important. I think it's very well said. At the same time, there's another thing that I want to add when you start separating yourself from your services or your brand, because you're still your brand, but you're not your brand. You know, it's really important for you to understand what are your core values or your brand. It's not just your why. Why your brand stands for? Why does it even exist? I learned that from Simon Sinek. In his book, he started asking me like, why do you even exist? And why should I even care? For me, I was like, well, that escalated very quick. You are very direct. You very, like, you have no filters. I was like, oh, why? And ever since 2015, started applying everything. Why did I like, that's why I mentioned, I'm always asking myself, why do I like this? I go all the time, ask myself, because at the end of the day, I'm the one, the face of the brand, right? I'm always nobody else. When you're an entrepreneur, everything is your fault. Let's put that on the table. Just regardless, whether you like to hear or you don't like it, it doesn't matter. It's not somebody else. Everything is your fault. The client didn't come. The client rejected. Didn't sign up for your business. Everything is your fault. Maybe it was the way you communicated. You mentioned too, the client is not ready. It's not personal. It's just at that moment, it's just one way or another, just it didn't work. Let's move on, right? The other thing that I want to mention is I love that particular tool that you have. And you share in your Instagram about you have a jar where you collect all these notes, and you mention it right now. That's what I said. Like for me, I pay attention, right? You bring in so much content. You bring in so many tools to people. If people start applying all the tools that you share with them, uh, the world is going to continue to get better, right? But that particular jar for me, it's like I looked at your post and I was like, man, this is really beautiful. And it made me think about so many things and start asking myself, how did I give myself love and praise that in a way different in a different form, right? You mention the way you do it. It's by reading sometimes the testimonials, sometimes the feedback that people give to you, because for you, that feels that connection, that self love, that assurance that, like, listen, it just reminds us your why. You just continue to planting the seeds of self love. That's for me. That's the way I see it. How did you came out with that idea or with that particular jar? Because you collect that jar, that whole entire thing is for a whole entire year. As far as when I read, you collect little notes, and every day, I think, or every week, you put something in there, and at the end of the year, or I don't know if you just do it once a year, but for what it seems to me, you do it whenever something doesn't feel right. I'm like, I gotta read this because I feel the need to. This can give me some assurance.
That's funny. If I had known we were going to have this conversation, I would have brought the jar to show it to
Oh,
you. But I
that's it.
have it. It's right there. It's an ongoing practice. And here there's two things that I do that you actually picked up on, and that's amazing. Yes, the gratitude jar I started maybe 3 or 4 years ago. At this point, I have lost track. It didn't start as a jar. It started like a makeup pouch that I had there, and I started this, and it does. What I'm trying to say, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I've been asked by many people, like, do you do it daily, weekly? And I tell them, relax, relax. As long as you have the intention, or you want to have the intention of capturing uh, something that you're grateful for, it doesn't matter the frequency. It's just having the habit of doing it and having that moment. And sometimes I write five little pieces of paper on a Saturday that happen throughout the week. Sometimes I do it in the moment. Sometimes I don't write. A week I just, it slipped my mind. I don't. But it's so, so, so powerful and so beautiful to do that at the end of the year. I start my new year, and sometimes I do it on the 31st. Sometimes I do it on the 1st. I open up that jar and read the entire year worth of gratitude moments. And it's such an abundant, beautiful moment that I gift myself. That's a gift that I give myself every year. And I have that moment where I'm by myself and I'm marveling all the stuff. And it could be something as simple as a wonderful coffee with a friend. It doesn't have to be like anything major. It could be a special hug from my kids, or it could be a moment in the park with them, and I write something to remind me. So when I read it, I can go back to that moment and live it all over again. And that is such a powerful way to start the new year, because for me, you start from a place of gratitude, love, and abundance. What better? And the other thing is I have like a little folder. I keep those messages, and sometimes I revisit them when I need a boost, and motivation or inspiration or a reminder. And that I would highly recommend that people get that social, what is it called? The social proof.
Yeah,
I
assurance.
Yeah, or social assurance. It's powerful. It's a powerful practice because it reminds you of, in my case, service is a value and a very strong. It's in the core of my practice and my business and what I do. So for me, it's such a reminder of my why, that when things get challenging or I'm having a moment where I need, like I want to get that boost to keep going and keep doing the consistency, and that sometimes I need to visit those messages because it reminds me of that connection. It reminds me of that person. It reminds me on the way that we exchange and touch each other in our lives. And it's a beautiful, beautiful way of reminding yourself of the ripple effect that could have those moments that you're having with people. So that is powerful. And the gratitude practice, I would say, I wake up in the morning and think of 3 things I'm grateful for. And I go at night and think of at least one thing I'm grateful for in the day. I usually do 3 and 3. And that has been a practice that I do every single day. Because no matter what, I want to set the day in a positive way and be ready to tackle whatever comes my way. And at night, I want to go to sleep in that space of gratitude as well. There's always something to be grateful for. So I find it, and I want to finish on that note. And it has been such a game changer for me. It really has. I highly encourage. It's like a muscle. You first start small, and then you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I have to think of 3 things. But then it's like it becomes easier. It becomes like when you build a habit, then it becomes second nature, and it's very powerful. But thank you for that reminder. Next time I'll bring the jar and I'll show it to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. Thank you for letting us know how powerful all those key elements are for you. And just so everybody, just so you can take it notes, the reasons why you bring it as soon as you in the morning and at night. It's if you everybody knows the subconsciousness is the first 30 to 45 minutes is when it's more this isn't his most receptive pattern. So I strongly recommend you. This is not just me telling you. This is by science. Scientifically speaking, it's very well known. The subconsciousness is more receptive in the first 30 or in the last 30 to 45 minutes of the day, and that's when you can write it down. And for me, it's powerful because that's something I do too. Sometimes I journal. Sometimes I go to gratitude, and that's how I start my day. That's just me. And the last thing I want to touch, I'm glad that you mentioned your kids. Being a mom, being a mompreneur. I heard that particular pronoun, and I was like, mompreneur. What does that mean? I was like mind blowing. But anyways, as a mom, and you have your own business, how do you manage? Like, what tips? Actually, not how do you manage. What tips can you share with all the moms that are trying to create their business and they're trying to really go all in without feeling like they're sacrificing something?
I love that. I love that question for all the mompreneurs there. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. We're in it together. And it's a powerful question because I know that working on that balance, it's not easy. First of all, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. It's not easy at all to manage all the pieces of the puzzle on a daily basis. I think the 2 things that I would say that have worked for me is first, again, tapping into self-compassion. Give yourself grace. Remind yourself that you're doing the best that you can with what you have at the moment. And that's an important reminder. We're not robots. We're not AI. AI is AI and we are humans still at
Yeah.
least in right now, we're still in that space. So remind yourself that you're doing your best. And the second thing is a huge part of my practice has been underpinned by mindfulness and, of course, the practice of meditation. And that's a whole nother conversation. Probably we could have a full episode on that. But I would say I even did a certification based on mindfulness. And it's so important to understand that the moments that you're with your kids, if you can give them full presence, that is a beautiful thing that you can do. So instead of focusing on how much time am I giving them, how am I being good? Am I being okay? Just focus on being with them when you're with them. We're in a time where we are all, and this is a generalization, but I can say that we tend to be very distracted. We're distracted with devices, distracted. We're surrounded by distractions. So for me, presence is one of my words of the year, of last year, of this year, and I keep bringing it up, being present with what I'm doing. Right now, I'm here with you, Omar, and I'm 100% with you. And when I'm with my kids, I'm 100% when I'm with them, focusing on them, and we're exchanging, I'm present there. Even if it's 5-10 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of time. And that has been another game changer, because then all that mom guilt that many feel becomes something that it's changed. It shifts, because now it's okay. The time that I'm spending with my kids, I'm fully there, and they're fully with me, and they can count on me. And I'm watching. We're looking at each other. We're connecting. We're exchanging. We're here together. So that is such a beautiful gift that you can give to your kids, whatever age they are. It doesn't matter. They can be babies or they can be adults with a life and their own babies. Doesn't matter. Be present, and that's the best you can do. That's what has worked for me. And for those mompreneurs, celebrate yourself, give yourself some breaks, self-compassion, and celebrate a lot of your accomplishments, because you're doing it. And that's a wonderful thing.
Amazing. No, this is beautiful. Thank you so much, Claudia. It's clear to me how you're able to, in a way, say the same thing, but phrase it in a different way. Now, I'm going to connect something here, because you mentioned it and you phrase it differently here. You mentioned early, I completely forgot. I got a brain fart right now. But you mentioned at the beginning
Self-compassion
the self-compassion and all that. You're bringing in here. The other thing you mentioned is like focus on what you want to create. And right now you mentioned like don't focus on that guiltiness of how much time and all that. And it's the same thing, but as you phrase it in a different way, it's very clear that you have that developed, that muscle is very well developed. And just want to point it out, because is beautiful to me to see throughout this conversation how powerful that can be. And the other thing is being present. You very well aware of yourself, but at the same time, you have worked so well the power of managing your energy. That's it for me. It's something that I've been working for the past 7-8 years. When I learned the power of, instead of managing my time, manage my energy, for me it was game changer. Just like you, when I'm here, I'm just fully immersed, fully focusing here. I know I have several other things that I had to do after this. I'm not concerned anymore. And now that I'm able to see it in a different way and experiment it and live it, and I'm like, wow, it completely it's a game changer. When I learned how to manage my energy, and you mentioned it's just different way. Just like, I learned how to be present. For me, it's like I learned how to manage my energy. It's the same thing, and I love this is powerful, because once again, you have your own map of the world. I have my own map of the world. Oh, you call it this way. I call it this way. And this has been so beautiful, though. Like, it's been amazing to see a lot of the things that you went through the NLP. I'm able to recognize it, and obviously, because I got the NLP, obviously, because the general psychology and clinical psychology that I've been studying for quite some time. And I can go on and on and on and on, and our time is running out. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for such a powerful insights that you have bring us, you have shared with us. And before we let you go, is there anything that I have been able to ask you, or have been able to let you share that you would like to share with the people that will be connecting with this podcast?
Oh my God, thank you so much. It has been such a beautiful, beautiful um, space and opportunity to exchange with you. I want to thank you first for all your insights. It has been such a beautiful connection and conversation, and really getting deep on so many different aspects that make this conversation unique. So thank you for that. The one thing I would tell anybody listening is the importance of working on ourselves, and working within. And I know that there's so much out in social media and everywhere that you look for, but really tapping into that it will change your perspective on so many ways. So don't look so much outside for things, to start looking inside, because once you start working on your internal patterns, your own map of the world, your own structures, and you start adjusting what needs to be adjusted, letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore, there's a beautiful transformation that only you can make happen. So I just wanted to say that. And again, thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful conversation. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that there was no script. We went with it. And of course, it's not going to be perfect. So bear with me, everyone listening, bear with me and my mistakes, but it's all coming from the heart. So thank you.
No, thank you so much, Claudia. This has been amazing. I'll be honest with you. I enjoy it so much. I'm really hyper when it comes down to it. That's one of the things that I have to to admit. It's how somehow towards at the end of the every single conversation that I have from every single person, I feel so high, and it's amazing feeling. And I know that what you are doing and all your insights have to do something with it. And I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for sharing your energy, sharing the time. And for all you entrepreneurs, as you can tell, it doesn't get easy, but it's totally worth it. And I mentioned it last time, and I'm going to continue to mention entrepreneurship is one of the best things you can experience in your life. If you're willing to go through the ups and downs that it's going to bring to you, you can embrace them. You can find people like Claudia. You can reach out to her. And I will put all your handles in social media and where you can find her on the notes. You can find people that can support your journey. Entrepreneurship is beautiful and it's very doable. And it's something that I hope that if you're entrepreneurs and then trying to get the ball rolling, tune in this podcast, because I'm going to continue to bring you guests and people that can bring you different insights and can give you different tools and provide us different tools. I learned so much today, different concepts, different ways to rewire my brain, different ways to see the world in a different manner, because something different. Every single one of us is very unique. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Until then, nos vemos hasta la vista. Bye, Claudia.
Bye. Mwah.